Hi everyone, it's Bork. In today's video, we'll be talking about my experiences in a top 10 clan. So if I go into details right here, you can see they are known as Beepo. There's amazing clan right there. And they were ranked 9th in the previous CV. And then there's Weepo as well, which is another top 10 clan who was able to hit 4th. So let's go ahead and talk about my experience and what it was like and their organization skills, which I feel like is important in order to be a successful top 10 clan. All right. So one of the first things you'll notice is here are the time zones. Here's going to be something known as the coordinator, and then here are going to be the different members, right? So the way this works is essentially the coordinators will be online throughout the day, and they'll be making sure that members are essentially logging in so that everyone is dealing their hits at appropriate times. And there'll also be like other things where we're checking on character organization, timeliners, guild leaders, coordinators, which we covered earlier, and then you as a member. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about character organization. So the way character organization would work is, for example, member 1 does not have Makoto, or they only have June Saren, or they don't have Aries or June. So you would take down notes like somewhere that you'd be like, oh, okay, this person doesn't have it, and you will take that into account when they're essentially online. You'll be like, oh, this person does not have Makoto, so maybe they wouldn't hit like, you know, a particular boss, or maybe they have to borrow, you know, a certain character in order to deal damage to a particular boss, right? But it would be like for a specific timeline and everything. But that's one of the first things that I wanted to take a look at when you're looking at character organization. Now, timeliners have an important role as well. So this is going to be like the CN sheets with all the different bosses. And what you can do here in the CN sheets is you can actually click the links right here, and it'll actually take you to a Bilibili website where you'll be like, all right, how did this boss work? What were the timelines like? What did they do? And essentially, you can just record that information and see what essentially worked for this particular team. It's really important to sort of do this ahead of time. That way you sort of understand like, oh, okay, this is the team that they use, and these are the time frames that people were using, all right? This is essentially how some people get ahead when they're fighting bosses and how to allocate teams, so to speak. So you're like, oh, okay, I see like these teams specifically were successful against this boss, and how exactly did they do it? And then essentially the timeliners will be able to help other members repeat that same damage or similar functionality to that specific boss. So timeliner's job for right here would be like, all right, this is a Cyclops team, and then what is like the overall damage that they dealt? It was 1.2, so your goal would be to hit like maybe like 1 mil or something with the timeline, with the characters that they use. So for example, I believe we click this one. So you would select like these characters and someone would timeline it, and you would get a expected result from it. All right. So that is timelining right there. Very important. And then next thing is going to be the guild leader / coordinator. When it comes to the guild leader / coordinator, they're making sure that someone is always doing their hits at appropriate times. So one of the biggest things is of course keeping track of your members, making sure they're all online, and making sure everyone is constantly doing their hits, right? Because one of the worst things is yes, you could hit the boss like 3 times, but what's really worse is someone doesn't do their hits in general. So it's one thing to be like a timeliner, and it's another thing to be a guild leader / coordinator, because making sure everyone online is very difficult. And it was just one of those things where I found like the coordinators, you know, the guild leaders and stuff, they would sleep maybe 1 hour to 2 hours a day because they were up all night making sure like everyone was there, everyone was hitting the appropriate bosses, they weren't wasting runs or anything. So yeah, kudos to like Leo, Coco, and all of the leaders, Gabby, Amco, and Peng. You guys were absolutely amazing. I heard Frage was doing like a lot of leading too, so thank you. I wish I could talk about all the members, but let's go ahead and keep continuing on this. And then you as a member, what is your responsibility? All you really need to do is follow like the timeliner's instructions and then be available when you say you are going to be available. So for example, you can see I would be available, or these people would be available at 7 a.m. in the morning, PST or PDT, and that's how you essentially would flow, right? It's important to sort of stay in somewhat of a schedule or know when folks are going to be online. That way you're not panicking all of a sudden. It's like, oh no, it's like 9 p.m. at night and no one's attacking any bosses. Why is that? Oh, you know, like member like XYZ doesn't get up until like 9 p.m. or can't be available until 9 p.m. And if something happens, you can essentially like mark them red on the calendar, be like, oh, they weren't available on this day. You can just like place some notes like they were not available or something, right? This is why it's sort of important to be like in Google spreadsheets and sort of seeing, you know, what's going on. But that's essentially like how the organization works for a top 10 clan. You know everyone's schedule, you know everyone's availability, you know what characters that they have, and you know exactly what timelines you need to hit based off of like the CN sheets. I have this all in the description in case you're wondering. This is what made like being in a top 10 clan so much more different from everything else, because most like CBs, I wouldn't really worry about like who had what, all I would be like, all right, do you have Makoto? If you have Makoto, then run this team. Or hey, do you have like Kaori, like 5-star, then run this, so on and so forth. Because everything we did was we would just run stuff on auto, right? Because based off of this, you could just run this team on auto and go from there. You would take the extra step to follow the timelines that someone would create. I think that's like one of the biggest differences between like a top 10 and others, is like the top 10 clans, they follow a very specific timeline, and that specific timeline, when that member is available and they have like the, the organization to tackle that boss appropriately, then they can hit like, these high numbers. Because most people are not running timelines, and not running timelines is fine, but timelines is what helps you deal consistent damage and also helps you leverage like your crits, right? So for example, the normal damage for this boss was 1.2 mil, then you would consistently hit 1.2 mil, and any extra damage on top would be, any extra damage that would go to your allocation and go to your score. So if you're wondering what I'm talking about, let's go ahead and jump into home, go into like clan battle right here, and then you jump into details. And then let's go ahead and look at last month and what the difference was between a top 10 and then 11 through 25. All right, you can see the difference was only 1.295 mil, or essentially 1.3 mil was the difference between top 10 and 11. That's like one hit, like one good hit that someone did, but technically it's an accumulation of like people like dealing those 10s to 50Ks. That's like the damage worth in order to hit like the top 10. So it's very competitive in top 10, more so than like top like 25, because in top 25 there is a very stark difference. Like Haunted did like 700 like million damage, something like that, right? And then if you look at top 10, like the difference is like they scored like 40 million, way more. So they did like a full rotation, like much higher. But here it's like very close. It's like within like mils of difference in order to hit top 10. So it's just something to take into account in case you want to be part of a top 10 clan. It just has to do with like timelining and having the appropriate characters and being available and hitting the bosses in order to get everything right. But let's go ahead and jump into some arena and just give you like my personal thoughts on what it felt like being in a top 10 clan. All right, let's go ahead and just try to run this, see if it works. I'm not really too worried about it. When it came down to being in a top 10 clan, one of the things I greatly appreciated being in Beepo was how like caring and supportive everyone was and how helpful everyone was. I was in Discord for most of the days, just running timelines, making sure like everything was good, and one of the coordinators like Leo, Gabby, or Coco would essentially help me making sure I'm dealing my damage, and also being like, hey, make sure to deal your attacks here, make sure to pay attention to like this specific animation. And that's what really helped me deal like proper damage. And you'll see like later on, once like the scores come out and everything, like the difference between like top 10 and like top 12 was, it's just really insane. Like finally seeing what it took, like what was the effort, what was like the things that people would sacrifice. Like people were sleeping like 1 to 2 hours. It was absolutely insane just watching like how hard like the clan leaders would go, and like all like the guild like vice leaders would pretty much perform in order to make sure that we were dealing maximum damage throughout the entire day. And honestly, like hands out to like everyone who like performs at this level. I finally see why like Lace and Tomayas don't make videos during this time frame usually, because it's so stressful just trying to kill all those bosses and making sure everyone's using the best possible team that they can possibly have in order to perform in clan battle. And I don't know like what's gonna happen in the future. I loved being part of Beepo and Weepo. It was probably one of my highlights in my Princess Connect career, just being with them, because they were so supportive and they were just so funny. And it was just nice to be like in a Discord chat where everyone generally loved Princess Connect. If you're in the top 10 clan, like I hope morale is decent, but when it came to morale with Weepo and Beepo, it was absolutely amazing. And I was just so happy to be a part of the clan, and it really like helped me like reignite my love. A lot of people, when they look at Princess Connect, they're like, oh, this, that, and the third. But if you're with like a bunch of people who really care about the game, who really care about just performing and just having fun, being part of the community, because that's what Weepo and Beepo essentially did with their specific like clans, I was just impressed. I have to say it's like one of the best Princess Connect communities ever, and I love the Princess Connect community because it's so like held together and everyone's so tightly knitted together. And when it comes to like everything waifu over meta, at the end of the day, it was really cool that Weepo and Beepo were able to work with me, because I don't have I don't have Erisa and Jita. So it was like a huge thing where they would make specific timelines just for me, different comps made just so that I could perform decent damage for bosses. And I was able to do it after I figured out the timeline. But like the amount of like effort that they would go, the lengths that they would do in order for everyone to have fun within the clan battles and perform perform appropriately. It was absolutely amazing. I wouldn't trade this experience for anything. And personally, I had a lot of fun bringing in a top 10 clan and just getting a little bit sweaty because they ran the clan so well, and like their organization, I have to say, with the Google spreadsheets was just absolutely amazing. Like, I loved it. It was a great time. I highly recommend joining Weepo or Beepo. And no, they're not paying me or anything. They're not holding me hostage to say that, but it's just something that I want to say. And most of all, in case you're wondering what it took to be in a top 10 clan, it's like literally just like infinitesimal like differences between damage when it came down to it. Because as you guys saw earlier, there was only a difference of 1.2 mil, because the differences between like top 10 and top 11 was literally 1.2 mil, as you can see here. We got one thing that we got announced. We cannot forget this. We're going to be talking about the giveaways right now, so let's go ahead and cover it. Right here, this is the first video we're going to be covering. This is going to be the one where it's like a free code and the 25k giveaway announcement. So let's go ahead and click share right here and grab this link. Go to the YouTube random comment picker. We're going to filter any duplicate users and then also blacklist myself because I should not be winning my own giveaway. That makes no sense whatsoever. Let's get the YouTube comments and then select the winner. How many entries are there going to be for this video? 248. All right, let's see who's going to be the winner right here for the 25k giveaway. Ashidiki. I don't know if I said that right, but anyways, win. Yeah, it's quite hard doing cage unless you build many characters. I'm currently building 4, so at least I can clear weekly. There's so many BC2 if I don't. Heck yeah, man. So congratulations on winning the 25k giveaway. Reach out to me via Discord or Twitter. Let's go ahead and select the Princess Connect video that we'll be doing the next giveaway. It's going to be this one, rank 10 4 units. So we're going to go ahead and click share, copy this link right here and put it here into the enter video URL. Get the YouTube comments. How many comments are going to be in this video? Only 55 unique comments, so higher chance to win for this particular video. Let's see who's going to be the winner. It's going to be Lucas Lee. What is that site at 2:30? Well, hopefully you found that site. Also, you're going to be one of the winners for the 25k giveaway. So yeah, that is going to be like the winners. I'll post it on the YouTube post and I'll post it down in the comments. Anyways, if you made it this far in today's video, consider subscribing, dropping a like, leaving a comment, follow me on Twitch, follow me on Twitter. Once we hit 27,500 subs, we're doing a giveaway. Congrats again to the 25,000 giveaway winners. Thanks so much. Have yourself a fantastic day, and I will see you